Let's go.
Ladies and gentlemen, okay. Let me touch my boys. We are live. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the first ever episode of Light and Hunch. I'm your co-host, the man that never misses, Light Out Sports.
And I'm your other co-host, the GOAT, ZZ Huncho.
ZZ, and we're about to take over the game. That's what's going to happen. We're about to take over this podcast game. This is our first episode, and we're going only up from here. So, but before we even start talking, I want to introduce the man that put us together. We're also part of the Undrafted Network. So everything, the orchestrator, you can say, of all of this, we got my man, Anthony K. Anthony, how you doing?
I'm doing good, guys. Light and Hunch. Look at this.
Yes.
This is the show. This is
awesome.
I'm gonna be the master. I'm gonna be the first. I'm going old school. The first drummer of the Beatles. No one knows who that is. Right?
I know.
I was in the beginning. The talent scout extraordinaire. I'm excited, man.
This is awesome. This is awesome. All right. So before we even start, I wanna clear the beef that apparently there is between me and Z. There was the reason I know Z was because he stitched one of my videos a while back about me making fun of the Brooklyn Nets. And I'm going to let Z explain it because he explains it a lot better. So, Z, you explain it, and then I'll just go off from there.
Okay, so what had happened was it was right after the Lakers beat the Nets, and I went to TikTok. I knew the Laker fan base was going to blow out of proportion.
Mm-hmm.
And Light Out, I had seen a few of his videos in the past, but I thought it was, all funny and everything. But his video was saying that basically, the Nets, and paraphrasing it, the Nets suck. The Lakers are better. The Nets can't beat the Lakers even without, all that stuff. So I stitched it. And it wasn't even I wasn't even sending subliminal shots to Light Out. I was sending shots to the Laker fan base and the Nets fan base.
Yeah.
But that video blew up, and Light Out actually commented under the post and was just like, I'm just trolling. And I was like, hey, I'm not mad at you, bro. I'm not mad at you.
Oh,
but
man.
That was hilarious. And then from there we started following each other. And realizing I like this content a lot more because a lot of people don't understand Light Out. He doesn't miss, but they don't understand him.
I never, ever missed. And then that's how I met Anthony K a while back. And then Z texted me, say, hey, look, do you know who Sportfluent is? I'm like, of course I know who Sportfluent is. And then that's how everything came together. So the reason Light and Hunch is a thing, it's because of the man in the middle right now, Anthony K, the biggest Jordan fan I know. So,
hold on. Let's be clear. I don't know if you can see behind me, but I'm a Kobe fan. Kobe's my favorite player, and I'm a lifelong Laker fan.
Mm-hmm.
But when you and I talk to GOAT, well, the facts speak for themselves. So,
all right, speaking about the GOAT, let's just get that out of the way. I don't want this podcast to be just, I think LeBron's better or Jordan's better. I don't want that. There's a bunch of podcasts. Y'all can watch those. This is different, but a lot of people are going to ask us who we think is the GOAT. My opinion, I got the GOAT right here, LeBron James. I think it's LeBron James. No disrespect to Michael Jordan. I am not boomed but you know what I mean? Yeah. You know what I mean? I'm not going to go and disrespect Michael Jordan. I just think LeBron's better. Anthony obviously thinks that Jordan's the GOAT. And he has many reasons why. And if you haven't followed him on YouTube, he made the GOAT Chronicles. Great series. You should go check it out. Detail by detail. Very good video. And Z, who's your GOAT?
MJ right now.
MJ right now.
If Braun takes home another title, though, it's Braun, 100%.
So let me ask. So I know we're not doing the whole GOAT debate.
Yeah.
But you're saying if Braun gets one more title, he jumps over MJ
and one more Finals MVP. That's the kicker, because age speaks volumes, and longevity in the NBA is something that not a lot of people have mastered. Kareem, at the age of 40, was and I think games 1 and 2 of that Laker and Celtic series, everybody was counting him out. I think he dropped 30, and then everybody was like, "Oh my God, he's back." But the finals make you like the finals can make or break any superstar, even when you're at your lowest points, especially when age is a factor. So I'm saying a lot of people say that the Lakers' best player is Anthony Davis, right? But if LeBron can come back, lead that team back to the finals where they're at right now, and he wins another Finals MVP, I mean, I can't argue with it. That's 11 trips and 5 titles.
Yep.
Okay.
Anything has to say something?
It's my thing is I try, and if you whether it's on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, wherever, if you know, I try to keep as much as I can the team accolades out of the conversation. You'll never hear me say 6-0, 4-6. Unless I'm trying to troll someone. I once said 4-6, but that was I was trying to get a reaction because I think that has so much to do with the team you're on and the teams that you're playing, right? And like for example, I'll use this quick example. Would LeBron have ever gotten out of the first? Because people always say Jordan in the first round. Those first 3 seasons. Would LeBron have ever gotten out of the first round in 17, 18, 19 if he was playing the Warriors in the first round? No. Yeah. Right? But that's not his fault. He still played amazing. Right? And that's why I don't hold, other than 2011, I don't hold the finals losses against him because he played great. Right? Just like I don't hold the first round losses of MJ against him because look at the stats. There was a series against Boston, granted, and it was only out of 5 where he averaged like 40 something. That's not his fault, bro.
That's 43.7 points.
There you go. He did his job. Right. Go ahead.
Sorry. No. Well, and this is me respecting Jordan. People don't understand that. Oh, he only did that for 3 games, right? You know how hard it's still to drop like 40 points in consecutive games in a playoff series. It doesn't matter
when you're averaging 90 points a game. Like, don't forget that too, right?
Exactly. That's ridiculous. Like, I don't care. Like, that's why I don't like back, younger me, I'd be like, oh yeah, Michael Jordan's overrated. But now that I know the game more, I know how like things work. Like, it's like, yeah, no, Michael MJ was not over. Yeah.
So here's why it's hard for me. Here's why it's hard for me when you asked why I asked you one more title. So that's why I say I try to keep the team accolades out of it. But obviously team success, it's somewhat important. But when I look at the difference in accolades, right, there's 2 championships, 2 finals MVPs. The season MVP, I don't even do that either because LeBron and Jordan and others have been robbed. Like Kobe. Kobe, come on. Kobe won MVP. Give me a break. Even the Defensive Player of the Year award, that's something that gets voted on. I leave that out. But the 2 rings, the 2 finals MVPs, and the big one for me is the 4 defensive first team. 4 defensive first team. So I even leave the steals and the scoring titles out of it because let's be honest, if LeBron said, I'm going to be a scorer, right, and put all his energy into being a scorer, could he win a scoring title again? Yeah, 100% he could. So I don't even hold those. So for me, it's 2 titles, 2 finals MVPs, and at least, and maybe it's too late for him at this age, but at least 2 all defensive team titles.
Yeah, that's not happening.
Then I'll elevate him because for me, on the offensive side, you can flip a coin, right? Jordan scores more points, LeBron gets more assists. Offensively, people even bash me for this. Offensively, Jordan actually averaged more offensive rebounds per game than Bron, which is crazy. He has 3 inches on him. But anyways, so offensively though, I think I've got Jordan. Where for me the deciding factor is defense. And although LeBron has the ability, he's more versatile. I agree. He can guard, right, pretty much every position. Granted, there's really no true centers anymore. I think Jordan at his position, right, was a better defender, proven only by, if nothing else, the all defensive teams. So that's the one thing where I'm like, look, if it was just offensive, yeah, flip a coin. I got Jordan 1-2. But I think defensively, I think Jordan has it, and that's why I pick him. But I mean, by the narrowest of margins. So I think if he wins, any type of individual accolade that even gets him close, because what he does have over Jordan, right? Jordan played into his 40s, and if you look at his 2 seasons with the Wizards pre-injury, he was actually playing pretty damn good, right?
Good, yeah.
But what he didn't do that LeBron has done is consistent, right? LeBron came, and let me give LeBron some love because people say I don't. I love LeBron. He's on my favorite team. He's my second all time. If that's not love, I don't know what else I can give.
That's not disrespectful,
right? Yeah, that's not disrespectful. He came out of high school. He
Mm-hmm.
came out of high school as the chosen one, expected to do it. And you know what? He did it.
Yeah,
and not only did he do it for 17, 18, who knows, 19, 20 years at the highest possible level, like his peak has still, like, he still hasn't had that drop off.
Mm-hmm.
And so to do it for that long, that good, you got to give him tons of credit for that. And something people don't talk about in this day and age of social media, when's he gotten in trouble?
Thank you.
When have you seen him pull a Paul Pierce, right? Or his wife, or nothing? Nothing. Mm-hmm. The man is like, okay, some people might not like some of his social media commentary.
Yeah.
But that's just, you don't like it. But if you look at, he's never gotten in trouble in those 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot of pressure in this day and age to live up to. So I give him the up. So even though I have him 2, I'm not saying he's 22. I'm saying he's 2. For me, because I want you to know one last thing, and then I'll let you guys talk. Sorry. But like, no, I've never, ever, 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 prior to maybe 6, maybe 7 years ago, have ever put any active player in a GOAT conversation. Because I've always said, listen, until you finish, I'm not judging you. Because, and I use this example, everyone says field goal percentage. Oh, Jordan's below LeBron. Well, he's only below LeBron because those 2 years in the Wizards. If you take those 2 years out, he actually has a higher field goal percentage. So you need to look. That's why I want to wait until your career is done. So for everyone who says I disrespect LeBron, for me to put an active player in an all-time list, look at my top 10 defensive players. There's no active players. That's not because there's no good, defensive players. It's because I just don't put active players in my top 10 list because I want to see the whole career, unless we're talking about future, which I know we're going to talk about. So for me to take a guy who's active and put him at number 2, there's no bigger compliment I could give someone.
Yeah, and I understand that. And although, like, this is the question I want to ask you, right? I made a video a while back, and I said, when I said 5 rings, I don't mean like, oh, he's 1 away from Michael Jordan. I just feel like, LeBron James still got 5 rings. It's not that I want to say that he is close to Michael to that 6. I don't care. He could get 1 more ring, and I still call him the GOAT. Like it doesn't change for me. What I am gonna tell you though, let's say LeBron James gets 1 more ring, right? Let's say he wins this year. He goes on and gets 40,000 points, 10,000 assists, 10,000 rebounds in his career. First ever to do it. There's no one in pace to go do that as of right now. Is there at least a conversation now to have? Like, I know you have Jordan, like 1, no doubt in my mind. But if LeBron accomplishes that, is there maybe a change of mind? Like, all right, maybe I have to look at LeBron just a little different, and maybe I could probably put him above Jordan. Would that change your mind?
It depends how he does it.
Okay.
So if he continues at this pace and does it, yeah, we're having that conversation. No lie, we're having that conversation. I think we have to. But if he does it because he plays 7, it's possible he plays 5 or 7 more years and he averages 15 points a game and 40% from the field. No, I think that diminishes it for me. Yeah. Right. So I think how he does it matters to me.
All right, that's a good answer. All right, cool. All right, so I just wanted to, Anthony K. We had to talk about the GOAT conversation with Anthony K. But speaking about the future, let's talk about the playoffs. The Nets are the clear favorites, apparently, on going all the way. Z, I'm going to start with you. What are your opinions on the Nets?
I've said it before. The Nets' big 3 is one of the scariest things that I've seen in a while because I think everybody thought when they got together, everybody was like, who's going to take the least amount of shots, right? Who's going to sacrifice their points and all this stuff. So when at first I said it was going to have to be Kyrie, but I didn't take into account nobody gives James Harden enough credit for actually sacrificing his own points and actually taking the back seat for the betterment of the team. Because if you look at James Harden in Houston since, I'd say 2015, when he had Dwight Howard, right? James Harden has always tried to do what was best for business in terms of playing with someone else because, in a way, everybody knows you can't win by yourself. You always need a second option, or you need a second option and good people around you. So in the Dwight years, I think the 3rd best player they probably had, maybe besides Capella, was like Trevor Ariza or something. Then Dwight leaves. That doesn't work out. They get Chris Paul 2 straight years of 1 year of the Western Conference Finals, the second year of the second round. Then he gets Russ, and that was kind of a disaster in a way because they ran into the Lakers. But in the same token, we haven't given James Harden credit for being that third option since Oklahoma City. Because in Oklahoma City, James Harden specifically asked to come off the bench. He was not forced to come off the bench. He asked to come off the bench because he knew that was going to lead his team far. So I think the most valuable player on the Nets is James Harden because he can. I mean, we don't talk about the triple doubles. We don't talk about the way he orchestrates the offense in a way.
Yeah.
Kevin Durant's the clear-cut best player, and Kyrie, in a lot of ways, you can say Kyrie's the most clutch. I'd still give it to KD though, but Kyrie holds his own. Kyrie isn't a slouch at all. But when healthy, the Nets, and people are always like they need defense. No, dude. You have to understand, the Nets are terrible at defense, yes, but their offense keeps them in games to the point where when it's the fourth quarter and it's coming down to the last shot, you better hope and pray that it's not in any of the big three's hands.
Yeah, no, that's true. And then I just want to add something before I let Anthony talk. The only problem I have with the whole, Nets are going all the way narrative is the thing that I hear all year round. If they stay healthy, man, come on now. KD came back, dropped 33 points in 28 minutes coming off the bench. That was insane. I saw the whole game. I got to give credit where credit's due. KD was that man yesterday. But do we know if KD, and knocking on wood, I don't want him to get injured, but do we know that KD is gonna stay healthy? I mean, he's been having a problem with that damn leg all year now, long. You put him in the playoff series against the Philadelphia 76ers, the Milwaukee Bucks, maybe the Miami Heat, the New York Knicks. I mean, people are sleeping on the Knicks. I'm not saying they're gonna go eliminate them, but in a 7-game series, if your best player is out, I mean, the New York Knicks can possibly eliminate the Brooklyn Nets, in my opinion. But the thing is that Kevin Durant needs to stay healthy. And if he stays healthy, they have a chance to win. But that's when I have the Lakers, and I want Anthony to continue here. What was his opinion on the whole Nets and stuff?
Okay, so I'm never picking against my Lakers. So
yeah,
if healthy, it's the Lakers. But if I take the fandom out of it, so the Nets are by far the most talented team in the NBA. The problem is, and there's a couple of things that you guys said that I want to touch on. One, I want to start with Harden because you're right. I think Harden this season, all we think about is how he left Houston, which wasn't a good look. And so I think he's not getting the respect he deserves for the way he's playing right now because of the way that he left. And I get it. There's old heads like me who really don't like what he did. I get it. To go back to your OKC thing, that's the biggest what if, I think, in NBA history. If they I don't know if you guys know this, they were apart by less than $1 million. OKC was from keeping Harden. It was less than $1 million that he was asking for per season, and they said no and shipped him off. Talk about a bad.
I did not know. I did not know what that.
Yeah, go look it up. I think it's he wanted. I forget the number. It was he wanted 5.7 per year, and they were at 5. It might have been 15, 25, whatever. But it was a point. It was just under $1 million that was separated them. They're nuts. But anyways, so yeah, I think Harden is he played in a system in Houston that made people think he was greedy or a hog, but it wasn't. That was D'Antoni's system. And I think they forget what he did in OKC, and he's showing it again in the Nets, that he can be that facilitator. And he's such a dangerous facilitator because he's such a good passer, underrated. But you can't lay off him. You can't play him for the pass because he'll jack it up in your face, and you have to guard him. So I think, again, it's not just about healthy. So you guys mentioned if they stay healthy. My fear is they're going to look like, correct me what year it was, but the first year that LeBron, Wade, and Bosh played in Miami.
Yeah,
if you remember, it took them time to kind of get that chemistry, and it's something that no one ever thinks about. They think, if you just put a bunch of really good players on the court together, they're going to be great. No, they have to find a way to play together, and that's the death of so many teams.
Yeah.
Right. And you can have a laundry list of teams that put players together. Whether I'm obviously going to go back to my Lakers. Whether it was Malone and Peyton, whether it was Dwight and Nash, heck, go back to Phoenix with Nash and Amari Stoudemire, right? That team ran up and down the court, and this is why I'm going to get to the defense actually being important. They could score on anybody, but the playoffs is a different style of play. You don't get to run and gun as much, and you're going to have to play defense. Do I trust the Nets to come up with a key stop in the fourth quarter of a game in a slow-paced playoff game? No, I don't trust them to stop anybody. And that's my fear, why I think they're so the chemistry and the defense, I think, makes them susceptible to an upset. Now, to your point, if they have an opportunity with the last shot in the game, and now you got to guard 3 guys who are all clutch, you lost. You're done, right? But if you have a 5-point lead, and they need to stop you so they can make a comeback, I'm nervous. I think I really look forward if that second round is the Knicks and the Nets. That would be. I would love that. I would love to watch that. I would love to watch that, but. Yeah,
I've said it before too, because I think I made a TikTok about, somebody said something about Philly and the Nets, and they were like, I don't care who the Nets have, they're not stopping Joel Embiid. So I was like, okay, that's awesome, but who on Philly is going to stop either KD, Kyrie, or Harden? And then somebody was like, oh, Ben Simmons can stop KD. I said, Ben Simmons can stop Kevin Durant. Ben Simmons is a great defender, but it's Kevin Durant. It's literally Kevin Durant.
The same thing.
I think they forget. I think they forget. No one. Let's be honest. And I have a lot of negative things to say about KD, but let me say this on the positive. Right? No one can stop KD. Okay, you can slow him down. But you can't stop KD. And so if Ben Simmons is on KD and with a little help, because again it won't be 1-on-1, then who's stopping Harden? Who's stopping? And then don't forget Kyrie could score. Right. So, yes, although they're going to have a problem, I always say this. Look at any team. If one person can go. Let me give you a perfect example. Because my hometown, as you know, Toronto Raptors, also right there representing their history, which they'll never get another. But they if you remember the regular season against Golden State with a healthy KD, go back and look at those games. KD went off for like 40, 50 points, but they lost both. Right, because what their philosophy, their defensive strategy was, we'll just try to slow down KD. Not that they did; he scored 50 points. But we're going to focus our attention on everybody else. So you can do that with Embiid. You can say, okay, Embiid's going to go off. Who else is? Nobody.
Exactly.
And now you can beat Philly. The problem, and then again if the chemistry is there with the Nets and they're all healthy, I know it's a big if, but you can contain one maybe, but then 2 more go off. So they're the most dangerous team if they can figure out how to make it work in the playoffs. Yeah, offense.
The thing with the Nets, and whatever, call me a Nets hater, I don't care. But like the thing with the Nets, right, is I think the Nets offensively are the best team in the NBA. Like there's no doubt about it. They got James Harden, KD, and Kyrie. I mean, all of them are walking buckets. But if you're gonna sit down and tell me that if you just contain them just a little bit, right? All 3 of them, and I know it sounds impossible, but just make their lives impossible. You can potentially outscore them if you're a great defensive team. For example, Philadelphia, the Lakers, they're all great defensive teams. And the Lakers have a lot of offensive threats in their team that could potentially outscore the Brooklyn Nets because of the defense they have. That's the thing that I'm looking like. And I want to bring this up because it's just a regular season game. But players like Andre Drummond, Joel Embiid, Giannis. Like Giannis dropped 30 the first game against the Nets. KD was guarding him, and people say, "Oh, Giannis couldn't stop KD." All right, cool. Did KD stop Giannis? Because he did it. Giannis ended up having 35 points, like 15 rebounds, and 8 assists. No, he did not get stopped. And that's what I'm trying to say. Like if you and that was before Harden was there, and that was when their team was better defensively. Now you take, you give away Jarrett Allen, Caris LeVert, Spencer Dinwiddie's out, and then now you have you bring James Harden to the Houston Rockets, and you get rid of those defensive pieces that were pretty good. Now you're gonna go against Giannis and Drew Holiday that's balling out this season. They acquired PJ Tucker. They have shooters around Milwaukee. You play them in a playoff series. If the Milwaukee Bucks just contain them just a little bit, you cannot sit down and tell me that Milwaukee cannot potentially outscore them in one game. That's the thing for me.
Yeah, so here's the thing, right? Like the way the standings are today.
Yeah,
Brooklyn would play Charlotte in the first round,
and that's a sweep.
Right, we're pretty confident there. Then they play the Knicks. They play the Knicks in the second round.
Yeah,
which look, as good as the Knicks have been, right? It's been I couldn't even grow a beard the last time the Knicks were good. So they don't have that playoff. No offense, I love my Knicks, but there's a problem. Right? Will they be good in the playoffs? We don't know. So they probably win that series, and then they're going to play obviously either the Sixers or the Bucks. And let's say think something about Philadelphia and Milwaukee. We're putting a lot of emphasis in what's happening right now in the regular season. But let's be honest, for teams like the Sixers and the Bucks who've been deep into the playoffs the last few years, they know when it matters. Mm-hmm. They know that the regular season is just a small piece, right? But they're tested in the playoffs, and I think they've learned from it. So I'd, again, be nervous about having to play the Sixers or the Bucks in a game against the Nets, who are still trying to figure each other out. I think they played 7 games together, the big three. Yeah. 7? Right? Against teams that have been together for years, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough to get out of the East for them again. And then if one injury, well, now it's a whole new conversation, right?
Yeah, no, and again, I'm not a Nets hater, but bro, they better have the best medical staff of all time. They better have all the doctors ready to go, because I do not trust KD to play 7 games in any series, and especially a physical series.
But I'll say this. People don't give them credit, because with Kyrie and Harden, when they were playing and KD was out, they were tearing up the league with
they were definitely. Mm-hmm.
KD and Kyrie without Harden were tearing up the league. Harden and Kevin Durant in the beginning, when Kyrie was on his PTOs, they were destroying. Like, it was incredible watching them play, because Harden still was dishing out triple doubles and concerned about passing more than scoring. But I remember I watched it was one game. I remember Harden scored or assisted on like the last 16 points of the fourth quarter, and I was watching him do it. Like, he would go from isolating to pick and roll and dishing, or isolating or giving it to Kevin Durant, letting him score. So like, they're scary. The only time scary hours is a thing is probably 5 minutes left in the fourth. I'd give you that.
No,
that duo, right? Like, I know it's the big three, but that Harden KD, that duo, like, if I had to pick Harden KD or KD Kyrie, I'm picking KD Harden. I'm scared. Yeah. I'm scared of that duo more than the other.
Now, this is an interesting question from Joshua Jafet, my boy Joshua. He asked this. Let's see if you can see the question. Can the Lakers stay healthy as well? And
big point.
Big point.
Good one.
That was a good question.
That's every team, right? Health is always,
because Anthony Davis.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Mr. Glassman himself. Look, my answer to this question, that he asks me this every day, right? Because we're boys, but he always comes and tells me, like, okay, the Nets are not gonna stay healthy. What about the Lakers? The difference is, although people like saying that Anthony Davis is made out of glass, we need to understand that Davis came from playing an NBA Finals, almost getting injured in that series in Miami, to then having how many days was it from the finals in the regular season? That it was like one of the shortest. Like,
it was the shortest off season, and look, it was unfair to the players' health. Mm-hmm. And I'll steal a line from Fred VanVleet from the Raptors, who said, "Look, this year is more about business than any other year in NBA history. They needed to start the season. They needed to have those Christmas Day games, right? Because there's huge TV deals there. And listen, none of the executives, none of the players, none of the teams they don't get paid without the TV deal. Like, fans in the stands is less important from a money perspective. They need the TV deal. So I get it. They shortened the season. They did it for money, and we're seeing players affected by that.
Yep. No, exactly. And that's what I'm saying. Like, Anthony Davis got injured, but now that he had this time frame he basically sat out for 3 months, right? He sat out for 3 months. I'm still worried for Anthony Davis, because I don't think he is fully healed. I think he's still, playing with like, I might get injured in the back of his head. But I believe that Anthony Davis, when LeBron James comes back, like LeBron James has been doing all year round, he knows how to put Anthony Davis in the best scenarios for him to score. And that he's been doing that ever since last year. That he knows how to use Anthony Davis. And what nobody's talking about right now, I know is Anthony Davis coming back, but a lot of people say that Anthony Davis was the best player in the Lakers. That he was. He's getting exposed out there right now. He really can't be like he's getting exposed, right? Like all day. Yeah, he came back from injury. I gotta give him that. Like first game, 4 points, 3 rebounds, 3 assists, shooting 22% from the field. Next game against the Dallas Mavericks, same team, 17 points. I think it was 8 rebounds, but he shot 28% from the field. Disgusting numbers, right? He's off. But what people don't understand is that last season when LeBron was averaging 10 assists per game, 20% of his assists, 2 of them, were all to Anthony Davis. So that was just the average. So maybe 3 assists, 4 assists were Anthony Davis because LeBron James knows how to find Anthony Davis. The attraction of LeBron James on him, getting double teamed through him driving in, making sure that the defense is worried about him, frees up Anthony Davis. So right now, yes, I am worried for Anthony Davis because there's no LeBron James. As soon as LeBron James comes back, the attention is not going to be solely on Anthony Davis. It's going to be on LeBron James as well. So that's what I have to say.
Yeah, Anthony Davis, and this is not, I'm sure I'm going to get a lot of slack for this, but Anthony Davis can't be at this point in his career, he can't be your guy.
Yep.
Right? He can't be your Batman. Mm-hmm. He might be the most ridiculous Robin you've ever seen. Yeah. But if he has someone like a LeBron or, like a lot of others that we can talk about who can facilitate for him and put him in good positions, he's scary. Yeah. But if he's the leader of your team and has to kind of create everything on his own and the defense is focused on him, he's going to struggle. And look, now I'm going to let my fandom talk for like a quick second.
Yeah.
Look, you never want your team, players to get hurt.
Yep.
But I am more afraid of the Lakers coming back healthy and refreshed, LeBron and AD, than I would have been if they played the whole season. And then I'm like, can they hold up? Like, will LeBron – look, I get it. LeBron is a freak of nature, but he's also, 36 years old?
He's like, human.
He's human. He's going to start to get tired. So I'm like, maybe it's not ideal, but maybe getting hurt, having the time off, coming back with a few games to kind of get the rust off and then be fresh for the playoffs, that might be a scarier scenario for them or for the teams facing them in the West.
Well, LeBron's always like LeBron in the playoffs is like it never fails to amaze me how this man just turns it on. And the funny thing is that I don't even know where it really started. Because like people say it started in Game 6, 2012, Eastern Conference Finals, Boston. But I think that I look back in 2009 when LeBron was losing to the Magic, right? But he was still putting up 40 a game.
Yep.
He could always score the basketball when needed. He could always do that. Game 6, 2012 was a legacy-defining game. Because if they had lost to the Celtics a year after losing to the Mavericks, then LeBron would have never, ever touched a GOAT conversation ever again.
Ever. Yeah, that's true.
He put his legacy was on the line. He showed up. He always shows up when you need him to show up. But especially when it comes to the playoffs, like somebody said that they hate how LeBron chooses to do that in the playoffs. Wait, I think Light said it. Didn't you say it? How is LeBron the best player in the game if he doesn't play his best all year in the regular season?
Yeah, I did say that. Because I compare him. Sorry, keep going.
No, you're good. Go ahead.
Because I compare him back to like 2018, 2017 when LeBron was the best player on the floor, and then he turned up in the finals. I mean, in the playoffs, but it was just him being smarter about things. LeBron James, when I see him now, I love LeBron. I mean, I'm LeBron James' biggest fan. But when I'm seeing other players do what they're doing right now, right, and then that point of the video was if they do it, right? Let's say if Steph Curry, let's say if Jokic, let's say Joel Embiid, they keep with the same energy in the playoffs, I have to put them above LeBron being the best player. That's what I was trying to say. Obviously, I worded it in a very I'm trying to be controversial type thing. But what I was trying to say is if a player is pulling up like LeBron James in 2018, being the best player all year round, and then still showing that during the playoffs, he's the best player. That's what I was trying to say.
So I'm going to tell you. Sorry, let me just quickly on Light's point say something. It's a dirty joke, so I'm gonna just clean it up and give you the high level of it, right? But there's this joke about these two wolves sitting on a hill, and the son says, hey, let's run down there and grab a sheep. Okay.
Yeah.
And the dad goes, no, let's walk down and get all the sheep. That's LeBron James. What he's figured out is you don't have to go full sprint marathon
Exactly. Yeah.
the whole season. It's you pace yourselves, because what's important? He knows it now, right? He said it.
Playoffs.
It don't mean ish if you don't win. So he knows that. Hey, preseason, I'm not going to play. Regular season, I'm going to pick my spots, right?
Yeah.
Because what matters? What matters is the playoffs. Are they in doubt of making the playoffs? No. So they're going to make the playoffs, and that's when you step up. That's when great players, and that's why, again, like I say, I have Jordan as my GOAT. Look at all his stats, and LeBron has now done that, right? And early in his career, he didn't, right? Like everybody brings up the 2011 finals. I think that is actually what sparked LeBron. I think that's what got him to understand what he needs to do to win. You can't just go full hard every second of every game. You can't. You'll burn yourself out. And so I think he's learned that is that, hey, you do what you need to do in the regular season, and then you step up, right? That's how I define greatness. If your statistics are better in the playoffs than they are in the regular season, I know that you have another gear, and that makes you great, right? For those people that are consistent, that's good. But if you look at most players, their numbers drop in the playoffs, even if it's just a little bit, right? That because it's a different game. It's slower paced. The defense is tighter. You're playing the same people, right? 4, 5, 6, 7 times in a week.
They're figuring you out.
They're figuring you out. So if you can do better, that impresses me. So I think he understands that. So is he going to be the MVP this year? And I know we're going to talk about MVP. Probably not. Well, now that he's hurt, obviously not. But I don't think that matters as much as, hey, let's get it going in the playoffs.
Yeah. Well, yeah. You also said the thing about LeBron. I like the 2011 argument, but at the same time, I think somebody who doesn't get credit for I mean, if anybody else could possibly get credit for how LeBron changed his game after 2011, it has to be Dwayne Wade. Dwayne Wade literally taught LeBron in a way. I think people stretch the word taught. I think it was more along like Wade said, it's okay for you to hold the keys. When LeBron went to Miami, he did something that some players also do where they go to another team and they think, okay, let me take a step back for this player. Kevin Durant like halfway did that with the Warriors, even though in his mind he always wanted to be as more loved than Steph Curry, which never was going to happen. But when he went to the Warriors system, everybody thought he was going to ruin it because of how he played in Oklahoma City. That has nothing to do with it. If you go to a team, if I had to pick any team that I would want to play for, it would in a system, it'd be the Warriors. Because literally all you do is you can't overshoot. Otherwise, Steve Kerr is going to call you out, or Steph, or Draymond. Jesus. But LeBron played with Miami. He thought to himself, okay, Wade's already won a chip here, right? And everybody's like, oh, he had Shaq. He had the remains of Shaq. He had literally
dog water.
Yes. So with LeBron, he thought, okay, and Wade averaged better numbers than LeBron in that series. I mean, and then you look at 2012, 2013, 2014, Braun like almost damn near doubled what Wade had in everything.
And 2014, yeah.
And it's funny because you get the people who say, oh, Dwayne Wade dropped off. No, he didn't. He went from being, and I think you hit it right, like the nail on the head. He went from, it was Dwayne Wade's, I hate this term, but it was Dwayne Wade's team, right, in 2011, to him saying, you're right, to him saying to LeBron, hey, man, you're the guy. Like, you take us. We'll go as far as you take us. And once that clicked, and that's why I said after 2011, I think that's what clicked. It's the same thing with, I'll compare him to Jordan, right? Jordan was like getting killed his first, 7 years? And then when he realized, I think B.J. Armstrong says it in The Last Dance, he goes, once he figured out how to win, dude, you couldn't stop him. Right? And that's the same thing. Once LeBron understood that I can lead a team in any category, in every category, but I can still get these guys to play how I need them to play, but I'm the guy. It was a different team.
Certain players literally turning around for other players. Like, people talk about how Jordan needed Scottie, but in a lot of ways, Scottie needed Jordan more because Jordan made Scottie better. Jordan literally looked at Scottie and said, okay, if we're going to be successful, I need you to help me and I'll help you. This is how you do this. This is how you do this. So Scottie literally was like, okay, because if you looked at it early on, sometimes Scottie looked like he didn't know what he was doing. The Pistons touched on it in their documentary, The Bad Boys. They were like, we were never worried about Scottie. We were going to let Scottie do his thing. We were focused on Jordan. Then after Jordan and Scottie started to go off, they said, okay, if we can't break Mike anymore, we can break Scotty. They still couldn't break Scotty because
Yeah.
Jordan told Scotty, if they hit you, don't cry. One player that cried the most on that team was Horace Grant. He cried all the time. And Jordan was like, if you cry, you're literally letting them know. Like, it's like somebody punched me in the jaw. If I cry, they know they hurt me. If I'm stone-faced, they're scared. So Jordan had to teach everybody on that team to not be,
Yeah, no, you're right. And it's funny because, look, were his tactics the best? Probably not. No. But I remember that Pistons team, right, saying, we know that we can push Scotty and Horace around. We know that we can. Well, if they have that confidence, that's all they needed. The second they pushed back Pippen, and I remember that where he didn't, like he pushed back, you knew this. As a guy watching the series live, I was like, oh, the Bulls they've got this now. Right, like they know that you can't push us around anymore.
And let me touch on what you said. Like his tactics weren't the best. Yeah, I understand they weren't, but for that series, that was the best tactic ever. I mean, you can't go against the bad boy Detroit Pistons and be like, all right, guys, look, let's just have a good game out there. Let's have fun, pass the ball. We're gonna have a great time. If Michael Jordan really had that mentality against the Detroit Pistons, the Detroit Pistons was gonna kill him again. Michael Jordan said, look. Yo, this is not a regular game. We're literally on a dogfight against these guys. We're gonna be stone faced. We're gonna do what we have to do. They're trying to show us. They're trying to get us to show our emotions. Do not show them anything. Be stone faced. Like obviously, mentally, that challenged the Chicago Bulls. But that's what put them over the hump to be the best team of all time. Like it's like
just think about it when you're a kid. Just think about it when you're a kid. Right? There was always a bully. And the bully would go around and push everybody around, and everyone would fall and cry and cry to the teacher. The second the bully pushed someone and he got punched in the face, what did that bully do? They backed down. Because I'll tell you my experience. There was a bully pushing everybody around. I turned around, I punched him in the face. We ended up becoming best friends, right? Because it's like, oh, I can't push you around anymore. I like you, right? And that's what the bad boys were. They were like, hey, we're going to push everybody around. And it was working, right? Back-to-back chips, right? Oh, but then they got pushed back and they went, oh, this sucks.
They started crying.
Dennis Rodman literally Scotty had went up for that layup. Rodman pushed Scotty so hard that he fell into the crowd, and then everybody thought Scotty was hurt. And Scotty literally just sat up and just stared dead at Dennis Rodman without anything.
Yeah. And you know how scared I'll be if I was Dennis Rodman.
Yes.
If I pushed Scottie Pippen to the point that I also fell. Thinking that man got hurt and that man just stood up like he was Superman and just looked at me like this. I'm sorry. That would.
I talk a lot of football on my show, right? Because I do the show, the Coach and AK Experience with Coach Hugh Jackson. So we talk a lot of NFL because he was an NFL coach, and we always talk about these stories. Like I used to be a wide receiver. He used to play quarterback. And he goes, when he would get sacked, hit super hard. And I would tell him when I would go across the middle and I would get hit really hard, what drove the defenders the craziest when we jumped right back up and just looked at him and like, good hit, right? Because now you're like, I can't hurt this guy. Yeah. And that kills him. And that's what I think. And that's the mentality I think LeBron got after being literally knocked out by, let's be honest, Dallas had a great run, but the Heat should have won that series in 2011. But they got knocked out, and instead of like crying, he just came back and said, "No, we're going to do this." And I give him a lot of respect.
The Celtics literally were LeBron's Pistons in a way, because in more of a mental aspect. Obviously, they didn't try and kill him, but in a mental aspect, I think they were 100% his Pistons. And then when Game 6 rolled around, I can honestly say that is my favorite Bron game ever because I never saw him smile. I never saw him laugh. I never saw him change from that stone-faced killer.
It's like the video you made about the faces of NBA players when you know he messed up. Yeah, and he has the face like this.
If LeBron ever made that face, I would literally walk off the court and just go play lacrosse. I just couldn't.
Kobe, remember Kobe? I know you got to. I just gonna say Kobe. Hey, Kobe, you're up 2-0 in the finals. Why aren't you smiling? Are you a little bit happy? More work to do.
If Kobe did this,
more work to do. Right? He didn't smile. Nothing. More work to do.
All right. This is another good question. Can you give your West playoff predictions and who do you think is going to win the playing tournament? And now, speaking about the playing tournament, I want to talk about this. Breaking news. This has came out. Let me put it on the screen. See if you guys can see it. Let's see. Do you guys see this?
Yeah.
If this man pulls up, right? If Klay Thompson comes back in the play-in tournament, who in the right mind is going to stop the Golden State Warriors in the play-in tournament?
Think about the
Who's
fact
stop
that
him?
the Warriors have beaten some of the best teams. Let me rephrase that. Steph Curry and Draymond Green have beaten some of the best teams in the NBA. So, like, they've came back on the Lakers. They've came back on the Clippers. They beat the Jazz. They beat the Philadelphia 76ers. So, and this is all from Steph just going off. Imagine Steph being double teamed now and being able to throw it to not Andrew Wiggins' inconsistent ass, but Klay Thompson.
Bro,
listen, I think people forget. I get that they're older. They're older. But we're still talking about the core, which is Curry, Thompson, and Green, who won 73 games. I get it. I get it that the supporting pieces are completely different. But it's not like they forgot how to play basketball, right? If again, we go back to this, if they're healthy, right? That team is scary. And look, I know, you mentioned Wiggins being inconsistent, but I really like Wiggins as a fourth or fifth option.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
That's a pretty good sixth man, right? Like, the problem with Wiggins is they expected him to be, a star, and he's not.
Maple Michael Jordan.
Maple.
That's what they said.
Fair enough.
That's what they said.
Although I feel like he's gotten skinnier. I thought he should be in the weight room and get bigger, but I think he's actually looks smaller. But yeah, if he's your fifth, sixth option, seventh option, that's a scary team.
And Oubre is ahead of him too, which is crazy. I love Kelly Oubre, especially Steve Kerr needs to get credit for being one of the best coaches I've ever seen, because he literally can tell who needs to go on the bench and who needs to come off. 2015, Iguodala put him in the starting lineup, even though it wasn't Steve Kerr's decision. Some like random dude on the on the assistant coaches or whatever said it, but Kerr still did it. With Kelly Oubre, I was always like saying something's wrong with Oubre. Him come like last night, Curry had 37.
Yeah.
Kelly Oubre, I was like, man, nobody else has over 20.
Yeah.
Except Kelly Oubre.
We keep focusing though a lot on stats, and I think if we watch a game, it's those guys that maybe don't rack up the stats that, like, whether it's a Kelly Oubre or whoever, that you need to watch what they do. It could be defensively, taking a charge, tipping a pass, getting it. Those are the guys that, without those guys who we never talk about, you don't win. You need those guys.
A great player in the Golden State Warriors that no one talks about is not Draymond Green, because we know what Draymond is. It's Juan Toscano. But that man, bro, that man. Although his stats showed that he only scored like 2 points, he had like a steal, but he played like 15 minutes. On stat, wow, this guy didn't do anything, bro. This man, he's one of the best hustlers in the NBA right now. He is gonna die getting a ball coming out of. I don't know if you saw the Celtic game not too long ago. This man almost broke his head trying to get a rebound. He literally dove through the crowd trying to get that. Players like him, players like Jordan Poole, players like Kelly Oubre are doing all the dirty work that needs to distract.
It needs to get done.
Exactly. Everybody needs those, and that's why I believe, moving along, that Steph Curry right now is the best player in the world. I'm sorry, you're getting attention of double team. You're getting attention of teams coming at you every single game, beating teams like the Nuggets, beating teams like Philadelphia, although they had no Ben Simmons and Tobias Harris. The Philadelphia 76ers and Joel Embiid should have won that game. And many more. When they beat the Lakers. The Lakers. Yeah, they beat the Lakers.
That Lakers game was hilarious because when I was watching it, I was like, damn, the Lakers are just destroying them. I was like, but wait, didn't the Warriors come back on the Clippers a couple? And then as I'm talking, Steph starts rolling. I'm like, it's over.
No. When Steph is rolling, when Steph is on fire, there is no one. And I mean no one stopping Steph Curry. It's ridiculous. Like yesterday, he let the ball roll. Like he literally was letting the ball roll. He picked it up in the same motion, just threw it. And it just splashed. Nothing but net. I was like, bro, come on now. This is just
I think that people will not give Steph best player in the league specifically because of how tall he is. I've always thought that. But people forget in 2016 when he was on that unanimous MVP run,
Mm-hmm.
there was a legit argument on numerous sports networks of Steph being the best player in the world. And it was a conversation specifically between him and LeBron because I get it. LeBron's the best player in the world when healthy, but some things you just can't ignore. Like
Yeah.
Steph in 2016, I physically could not ignore the things that he was doing. This
Yeah.
man, every game that I watched, I was specifically looking to see if he was going to hit a half-court shot in the first, second, or third quarter, or even the fourth quarter, like Oklahoma City. But
let me stop you right there. Just think about what you just said. What other players do you have expectations of them pulling up from the half court?
something as simple as pulling up from the half court, and you're up like 2.
You're up 2. You're like, all right, time to win. Pulls up from the from the logo, from the sponsor's logo. You'll be pulling up from there. I'm like, dude, like you're ridiculous. I know Anthony.
Yeah, look, I did. Well, because I did. I did a TikTok on this when you asked, like, is he the best player in the world? Sports _ fluent. Give me a follow.
Yep.
And I said it. I said, look, I don't know that he's the best player in the world for the simple fact that I, again, look at holistically, right? What he does total. However, is he playing the best basketball right now? Yeah, he is. Right? Like I always look at defense. I look at, these intangible things. Yeah. But at the end of the day, right? I also made an argument, someone had said passing's more important than scoring. Ridiculous comment to make. Right? A ridiculous comment. And I responded by saying, well, hold on. I've never seen a team that had, that won a game by 20 assists to 15. Right? I've never seen that happen. I've only seen a team win by scoring the most points. So to your point, Z, I can't ignore what he's doing offensively. He literally can pull up from half court and hit it consistently. So he can drop just whenever he wants. He can go on not the team. He can go on a 10-point run, and it completely changes the dynamic of the game. And so you got to give him the credit for that. You're right. He was in the conversation for best player in the world, and it's strictly based on, let's be honest, it's his shooting, right? Whether he's an okay defender, whether he's a good passer, we never talk about that. He's strictly considered one of the best, strictly on his that's how good. And that's why I say, when people say, Steph completely revolutionized the game of basketball because now everyone's shooting threes, I argue that point. The reason I argue that point is, well, no, it's like the coaches and the system and the analytics, which said, hey, a 3-point shot is, makes more sense.
What I said, yeah.
They revolutionized the game because what Steph Curry, because let's be honest, you can shoot more threes, right? So the analytics and the coaching can change to shoot more threes.
Yeah.
So that's what changed the game. Steph Curry, maybe we don't give him enough credit because of those other things. Like, he's special. Not many other people can do what he does, if anybody. And that's what I think we take him for granted almost. He's actually underrated because who else can do what he does?
Yep. Skip Bayless doesn't have him in his top 20, and he has Bill Walton ahead of him.
But Skip Bayless doesn't know basketball.
Yeah,
let's.
You did not.
He doesn't. No, I'm sorry. It's like Max Kellerman. I love Max, but he's a he does boxing.
Yeah,
I get it. You're getting paid to talk basketball, and you have to, but you don't know it.
Exactly.
So I'm not going to.
You know what?
Maybe he's saying it for he's trying to get follows. I don't know, but let's be honest. Like, just think about it. Just the one thing he does, right? Yep. No one does it better. So that immediately puts him into that conversation.
Speaking about Max Kellerman, Skip Bayless, Ryan Hollins. We know who Ryan Hollins is. What else? Nick Wright, the biggest LeBron fan of all time. Luckily, we are in this world right now that a lot of fans of ours, like to compare us, give us the nod as sport analysts, when in reality we're just dudes talking basketball. Yeah. But I think Z put this nail in the how do you say it? What was it?
The nail on the head.
There you go. That right. When it comes to this, if Nick Wright and who was it? And Ryan Hollins had a baby, we have this man right here, and his name is Boom, the sport god, Boom, let me just tell you something. I'm not going to debate you, right? But the world wants to see this. They want to see the CEO of GOATs himself, ZZ, Huncho, versus Boom, the sport god that in many videos says Kobe's better than Jordan. Hakeem had proved more than Michael Jordan. Larry Bird was better than Michael Jordan. I think at this point,
Isaac Bonga is probably
Isaac Bonga.
I think he's got Jordan at number 12 all time.
At this point, bro, like Michael Jordan lives in his head rent free. So, boom, respectfully, I am challenged. Oh, I'm not challenging you. I'm just challenging you for Z. I want to see ZZ Huncho versus Boom the Sport God debated out, and I want to know why he actually thinks all these things. That'd be great if he thinks that LeBron's to go and not Michael Jordan. Okay, that's fine.
That's totally fine.
A lot of people have that mentality, but if you're gonna sit down and tell me that Kobe, Hakeem, Larry Bird, who else? He mentioned other players that had Kareem. That didn't make any sense because in a way he was saying that then LeBron is not better than Michael Jordan or something. Sport Fluid made a video on it and it made so much sense about why he was contradicting himself.
Yes, I thought that before I made my video. I was like, doesn't this mean that Kareem's better than LeBron?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. In a way, people have been commenting under my stuff saying that they want to see a one-on-one between Boom and I.
Yeah.
Now, forewarning, if we it could be a huge ass plot twist. He could come on the show and we'll find out that he's trolling. If not, I will say that I've had GOAT debates with my own friends, and they stopped talking because I get to a point in the debate where I completely shut them down. Yeah. But in my defense now, I'm upset because I don't care if you have LeBron as your GOAT. I don't care because it makes total sense. Anybody else, it doesn't make any sense. But if you disrespect, and it's the same thing of Jordan, but if you disrespect either LeBron or Jordan to boost up either or, then we have a problem. And then I have to get toxic. So
I said this too, and Boom and I have talked about doing something together as well, because we have varying opinions, obviously. I'm just so you guys know, I've challenged. Like I've done GOAT debates too, and I'm much like you, Light. I never lose, I never miss, it's actually the point where people have responded to my stuff, and I said, cool, let's debate it. Oh, no way, I'm not doing it. Well, okay, then I win. But my point there is, I did one too where I said, look, I don't care if you have LeBron or Jordan 1 or 2. I understand both, but if you don't have them 1, 2. I question your basketball knowledge if you don't, whatever order. But that being said, do it in a way where you don't have to put the other person down, right? Because if you got, I know if someone comments on me that you're an idiot, you don't know anything, I win, right? If that's where you had to go, I know I won. Yeah. Right. So I'm curious to see, can you build up your person, make a case without having to say, because it's easy. You give me LeBron as an example. I can give you 3 things that he's weak at. Yeah. But that doesn't prove that someone else is better, because no one has a perfect game. I could do it for Jordan. I could do it for Kareem. I could do it for Magic, Kobe. I love Kobe, but I can give you 20 things that LeBron.
Oh, sorry. Let me listen to this real quick. Or Zigo, sorry.
I was just going to say, I can make you question an entire final series. Like 2016, you can be so confident in that. I will make you question if 2016 is a valid final series. Just the same way that I can make you question if 2015 is. But go ahead, Larry.
No, this is the thing, right? At the end of the day, Boom, right? Again, and I'm going to say this again. LeBron or Jordan are the GOATs, right? Either one of them. You say LeBron's the GOAT, respect. You say Michael Jordan's the GOAT, respect. I have no problem. But I don't want Boom to come here and start telling me why he thinks LeBron's the GOAT. I could do that, right? I could do that myself. I want you to come here and tell me why you think Kobe. I want you to think about why you say Hakeem had more to prove. I want you to say why Kareem is better for some reason. Larry Bird, all these players. I want to know why that. I want to know. Are you doing it just for
say
views?
One thing. I just want to say one thing because you said Kareem. Anyone who says Kareem is the GOAT right, has really three kind of key points, right? It's obviously the six titles and 10 appearances.
Yeah.
And the longevity, meaning the totals. Well, if you're saying Kareem, to the point that you said earlier, Z, if you're saying Kareem's the best because he's the highest scorer, well, then what you're saying is, well, then he's better than LeBron, because as this stage, and that's why, back to my point, I don't like putting people who haven't finished their careers in the conversation is, well, right now he leads LeBron in those things. Yeah. So you can't say LeBron's a GOAT and Kareem's too because of longevity.
Guaranteed. Then you got to flip if I made a video and I said Kareem is better than Michael Jordan Kareem is better than LeBron because he has 6 titles and 10 appearances. He has 6 MVPs. I guarantee, Boom, if the roles were reversed, Boom would be like, oh, but how many titles MVPs does he have? Exactly. This is why certain things are important.
I hate to say this, but that's why you really can't. We do it. And we talk about it, we love talking about it, but that's why you really can't have a GOAT debate, is because for every person there is a counter point, and really it's next to impossible to really pick one. Like let's be honest, right? Like they're never going to play against each other. I'm starting a new series, actually, your favorite player in a different era. So I'm starting to drop that next week, and I'm going to show people, like, when they say, well, if you take, I don't know, Steph Curry or LeBron, this is the big one, LeBron, and drop him in the 90s, he would dominate. And I say, well, hold on. You can't, that's like saying if you take me and make me 10 years old again, I'd dominate too because I have all this knowledge. But in reality, if I was 10 years old again, I would, or if you put LeBron in the 90s, well, that means he would have grown up in the 80s. His style of play would have been completely different. Actually, my first one is KD. So I'll give you guys a sneak peek. So KD, if you took KD and put him in the 80s, what would he be? He'd be a really skinny, right, overmatched center. You know why? Because when he grew up in the 70s as a 7-footer, and let's be honest, he's 7 feet tall, they wouldn't have let him do anything else. They wouldn't have allowed him to. They wouldn't allow him to dribble and shoot threes. Right? They would have said, "Hey, you're 7 feet tall. Get in the post. Hey, build your body up because you're too skinny." And honestly, he wouldn't be a great player.
That piss a lot of people off.
Of course it is. But it's reality, right? Like,
thank you.
I said this to Light, right? I think you posted the 2017. I think you said Warriors against the 96 Bulls. Yeah. And my first question was, well, what style are they playing? And
Shaq said the same thing.
Yeah, I got ripped. They were like,
so people get on my nerves, and I swear to God, I'm probably going to make a TikTok about this after this, but people get on my nerves because they automatically think, and they always do this. They're like, oh, Michael Jordan never played the Warriors. I'm like, do you realize that the Celtics were his Warriors? Nobody in the late 80s, nobody in the 90s shot the three-point ball as much. Nobody woke up and said, hey, let's shoot the three-point ball as much as a team 25 years from now.
These dudes drop more than 20 points. It's starting 5.
Well, exactly. So the funny part is, they always want to take the team now and say, well, they're going to go back and play that style. Well, then why can't that team go through 25 years of evolution and play and learn to play a different style too? Like, if Jordan was born in 2000, do you think he'd know how to shoot a 3?
Oh my God,
he'd know how to shoot a 3, but why doesn't he? Because in college. Last thing, because in college, he didn't even have a 3-point line.
Yeah. Let me touch this.
Yeah.
I made a video way back. I said, how many points will Michael Jordan average in today's game? And I said he'll average about 32 points. That's what I said. 32 points. That's what I said. Because of I said it, right? And then in the comments, they said, oh, but Michael didn't shoot the 3. So you're telling me if Michael Jordan was born in 1996, he played in the year 2000, or I don't know, just making whatever, right? He's in today's era, and you're telling me that Michael is not gonna get that 3-point shot? Aren't you guys the same guys that say that Kobe and Michael are identical, and Kobe had a better shot? You know why Kobe had a better shot? Because he had to get used to it in this era. If Kobe was back in Michael's era, trust me, they'll probably have similar stats when it comes to the 3. Let
me ask you this, right? Look, because we're talking LeBron and or even KD, whoever. If LeBron didn't see a 3-point line until his first year in the NBA, how good of a 3-point shooter do you think he would be? Now he might be 10 years later, but in the beginning of his career, so that's why I say, like, back to what I was saying, is that's why the goal thing's so difficult, because look, Wilt, I did my top 10 defensive players. They're like, oh, but Russell, he only had 10 teams. His all-star, dude, like, you got to put it into context. You got to look at some perspective. And that's why I say the competition. Look, you play who you play. And to your point about how many points would Jordan score, it's funny because I think I commented when you posted that, how many points would Jordan score in today's NBA? And here's my answer. If he knew what he knows, if he played now and knew what he knew, or knows what he knows, right, he would score as much as it needed to win a chip. That's what he would do, right? That's what he would do because he figured out, this is what I need to do to win. I need Scotty to play tough defense. I need Grant or Rodman to grab rebounds. I need Kerr or Paxson to hit wide open threes because they're doubling me and they're going to be wide open. And then I just need to score and play defense. That's what I need to do.
People literally think that he can't shoot threes. And I'm like, so people use the argument of LeBron can do this when he wants to, right? Yeah. So I said, do you want to know who actually makes that argument valid? When they were going into the 1992 NBA Finals, the media, and Boom thinks that Jordan was never scrutinized by the media. The media said Clyde Drexler is either on the same level of Jordan or possibly better because he can shoot the three. So what did Michael Jordan do in game one? In one half, the first half, he dropped 35 points and hit 6 threes because he felt like he needed to. Literally, he said, okay, if I have to prove that I can shoot a 3-point shot, I'll hit 6 of them and a half just because. So I'm like, do we know that Jordan can just do that on willpower? No. But with this argument of players can do what they want when they can, I agree. If LeBron wanted to score, he could score. And 2009 tells me everything I need to know. 40 points in a 6-game series, that tells me everything I need to know. But in the same token, I'm like, we have players like Jimmy Butler and DeMar DeRozan who can make really big impacts. Didn't Jimmy drop 40 in the finals last year on like two 3-point attempts?
Yep.
Pretty sure. So I'm like, you don't need to shoot the three, and that's what Jordan proved. You don't really need threes. The funny thing is, back then, 3-point shots were celebrated as much as we celebrate half-court makes now. Yeah. Like, it was like, oh, he hits the three. Like, that's what it was. Because nobody really did it. And if anything, it was a corner three. You see the Family Guy episode where Peter plays with Larry Bird and just jumps to the corner. That's literally what the corner shot was. Just butter. So
it's funny that game, right, where he gives the shrug and everyone, and I think this is the last comment I'll make about Boom, but in his video goes, he shrugged because even he was surprised. No, he shrugged because he was like, and you thought I couldn't do it, right? That's why he shrugged. And I just, last thing, because we were talking about threes, you have to remember they were shooting as a team. They were shooting 5-6 a game. So I say about Jordan, he was averaging for most of his career less than 1. It was like 0.8 attempts per game. Even if he shot 0%, it doesn't make a difference because he didn't shoot enough for it to matter. At 33%, he made 1 every third game, but he took less than 1 a game. So it didn't matter. So like I said, even if he shot 0%, that doesn't mean he's a bad shooter. It means it wasn't a part of the game. And then I bring up this point. I eliminate the 2 seasons where the top of the 3-point was shortened to match the corners, right? Because all they did was make it even throughout. So just the one season there was only one season where he averaged 3 or more 3-point. It was 88-89. He shot 42%. And we created, so this is my analytical team. I'll get you guys in touch with them soon. They created a shot efficiency chart. And because I said, right, the more that you shoot, the more efficient you become to a point. And then there's a point where there's diminishing returns. And they charted out. They charted out all the threes. And that's why I said, so if you look, we use Jordan as the first example, the more he shot, the higher his percentage went, right? And then they're like, well, what about, Seth Curry? I don't know, they were talking to other people. Yeah, because there's a point where then it drops, right? When you're shooting too many and it drops off. So that's why I say, like, it's, to compare 3-point shooting between players or teams, you can't, because if it's not part of the game, the percentage is going to be lower. And then there is a point where it peaks. And then if you shoot too many, it'll drop off again. So it's a long-winded way of saying, you can't just look at that one thing. And I think we put a lot of effort into saying, well, this person or that person isn't a good shooter because they can't shoot threes. No, there's threes, there's mid-range, there's, within 3 feet, and there's free throws that everyone ignores, right? All those things are shooting. And if you look at it collectively, then I'll listen to your argument.
Okay.
So I know you want to talk about something else.
Yeah, no, it's time to move on. And I want to talk about thinking about like, who are the GOATs right now? I want to talk about who do you think is going to have the best future in the next 10, 15 years? I wanna go with Z first. That's Sports Fluent, aka Anthony K. And that's me. I'll give you my answer.
Okay. Now I made a TikTok video on this too because somebody asked me the same question, and I said, it depends on who the NBA decides to push and who answers the call. Because Zion Williamson, I think, is going to be the future poster boy, right? But Zion, okay, the thing with the NBA is, and I'm talking like the media, House of Highlights, Bleacher Report, all that stuff, they play with a new toy every time someone gets drafted. Zion, everything Zion did, every time he,
did something,
it was Zion Williamson just used a public urinal. Like, and then you get LaMelo Ball, and LaMelo Ball, when LaMelo Ball got hurt, Bleacher Report was having nightmares every night, the same way Boom does with Jordan. But I think to myself, who's going to be the future? You got Zion, you got Luka. Zion right now is criminally underrated because he doesn't get posted enough.
Yeah.
Like he was I think he dropped like 35 plus back-to-back nights a couple weeks ago. Nobody really talked about it. Sideline sources talked about it, but Luka Magic is the trendy thing. So I think Zion's going to get pushed once you look at, he might, because I've said this before, when Lonzo and BI got traded from the Lakers to the New Orleans Pelicans, it was the biggest blessing that they could have ever had.
Yeah.
Because if you get drafted to the Lakers, no matter if LeBron's there or if Kobe was there or if anybody was there, you are being drafted into a place that is like
the most criticized.
Yeah. You have, it's like LeBron, like Anthony K said, LeBron was labeled as the chosen one. That's what you are when you go to the Lakers. So you have all this pressure to be a diamond or a bust, basically. Yeah. So I think with Zion and getting him a young core of Lonzo and BI, you get them another piece, they could be rolling. The Mavericks have I think been overrated as a team because everybody's been, he's gonna get Kristaps Porzingis, and two European legends are gonna go.
No, I don't believe in Kristaps. I don't. I'm sorry.
Like you said, he was a Knick, so I had to watch him. But when he went to the Mavericks, one, he's made of glass, and two, he's just not been very. He
could definitely turn it on. He could definitely turn it on when he's on fire, because he's a great shooter. I'm not taking that from him, but to be the second option on a championship team, like Kristaps, I don't know. I don't. Anthony, who do you think is the future of the NBA?
Well, how far are we saying future?
Okay,
because here's why I asked before I even before you answer. I'll say, because like Giannis is 26. Yeah. Right. So for the next 10 years, is he still going to be one of the most dominant players in the league? Yeah, probably. Yeah. But if you're saying younger, like we're saying 25 and younger, I have a different list. So let's just go 10 years from now. Doesn't matter who's who. It's okay.
10 years. Yeah.
I think for me, it's going to be hard for a big man to do it. So there was talk, the Anthony Davises, even the Giannis. I think it's be hard because the game is going more perimeter kind of centric, and I don't see, as good as Giannis is, right, offensively, defensively, I don't see his shot developing to the point where unless the NBA takes a drastic turn in their style of play, which I doubt. Right, I don't think he's got the makeup to do it. So I look for guys like, and I'm going to drop a name. I don't know if you just said Ja Morant. I like a lot. And then the two that we always fit, right? It's Zion and Luka, right? Yeah. They've got the most potential, right? And Luka by a hair, because I think he's going to be a better shooter than Zion is. The big but there is Zion then has an opportunity again because of the style of play. There's no centers, right? Like he's an undersized power forward, I guess. Right? 6'6", right? Yeah. Like I don't think so. I don't think he's 6'6".
How tall do you think he is?
I don't trust any of these numbers, and I'll go back to another post that I did, and I'll tell you why. So we'll keep this kind of under the radar. Nobody, I know it's being recorded, but back in my day, right, I played a little college ball, and I was fortunate enough to get killed in an exhibition game against Georgetown. and there was a little guard by the name of Allen Iverson, who everyone says is 6 foot tall. And I'm telling you right now, I'm 6'3", and there's no way, chance in hell that he's 6 foot tall. Not standing on a stoop is he 6 foot tall. Okay, so I don't trust. Like, you know, I don't think Kevin Garnett says he's, you know, he went from 6'9" to 7'1", right? Like, I don't believe the numbers.
Yeah.
So that being said, 6'4" Zion has an opportunity, because I think his team, right, is going to be the young team, the team, and to your point, the media is going to push him. So I think he's going to be the face of the NBA. But I think guys like, you know, like Ja, and even maybe, Ja, I was going to say Trey, but more like Ja Morant, I think those are the guys that you're going to see develop into guys who are like, wow, because he has the opportunity, right, to have like Steph Curry type of games, right? So that's what we're looking for now. So I think you're going to see, and honestly, it might be someone that hasn't even come into the NBA yet, which is the other. That's the other X factor. But of the guys that are there, right? I think if they're smart, if the NBA is smart, they set this up because it was great in the 80s when it was Bird and Magic, right? If it wasn't for Bird and Magic, there'd be no NBA. Let's be honest. They would be bankrupt, and there would be no Michael, there'd be no Kobe, there'd be no LeBron. If they're smart, they go Luka, Zion, and they find a way to bring these two guys up, make sure their teams are good, and get them battling in the playoffs as much as possible. And then everybody else becomes kind of secondary, but stars, because there's a lot of good players. And if you can do that, if you can create those rivalries that we lack so much, the rivalries now in the NBA. I think those two guys, if marketed, maybe it's because I'm a marketing guy, if they market those two guys properly, those two guys should be the ones that carry us into the next 10 years. And you need their teams to be good. And then I think there's just set up for success.
That's a really good question. Someone has asked, I'll put your question in a bit. Anyways, this is the thing, right? I know Zion is the flashier player between Luka and himself, Zion. I like Ja Morant. No, don't get me wrong, but for him being the face of the NBA, I just don't see it. Injuries. I mean, you got to see if he stays healthy. I mean, I think he got injured 5 times this season. This season, he got injured 5 times. So that's ridiculous, in my opinion. I think there's only one answer. I like Giannis. Don't get me wrong. But the answer is Luka. Luka, I love Luka. And if you put Luka, like when you start thinking about who has the chance, and I know it sounds crazy, but who has the chance to maybe reach LeBron, maybe reach those top tier players of all time, right? And I know I'm just going based off talent. I'm not going off accolades. He doesn't even touch LeBron's or Jordan's like foot. It doesn't reach anything, right? But when we look at their talent, what can you do with a basketball? Luka is a better leader. Luka can play make. Luka can shoot the ball, although he struggled this season. Luka can drive in for being that slow. He is flashy. He can move for being 6'8". I mean, but all that stuff, you put Luka Doncic in a team, right? Or if Mark Cuban, right, really realized that Kristaps Porzingis is not the guy, and you get someone else that, you know, I have a theory. Remember, guys, I never miss, all right? But the thing is going to happen, right? The thing that's going to happen is that Kawhi Leonard is going to leave the Clippers, right? He's going to leave the Clippers 100%. He wants to win a championship. First team that I think he's going to go to is either the Miami Heat. I heard a lot of rumors of him going to Miami for some reason. Second team, the Golden State Warriors. I don't know how that's going to happen because I heard there's a lot of money issues going on with signing another player like him. I guess they got to get rid of Draymond Green or something like that. And finally, the team that I think fits perfectly with Kawhi Leonard is the Dallas Mavericks. And you give Kawhi Leonard, I mean, you give Luka Doncic, Kawhi Leonard with Kristaps Porzingis. I am sorry, that's a championship team. Could they beat the Lakers in a series? I mean, you know, it's going to be a tough series.
Oh, we got 10 years.
Yeah.
We're talking about the next 10.
I know, but I'm talking about like he's 20. He's 22. This happens next year. Let's say he wins a championship in the next 3 years. He's 22, 23, 24. He's going to be 24, 25 years old winning a championship in this hypothetical world I just created, right? This man is on pace to being one of the greatest ever. On pace of being one of the greatest ever. So if all of this happens, right, or their team just gets better overall. Luka's the face of the NBA. I mean, Luka has the charisma. He has the face. He's literally the man that doesn't look like plays basketball but plays elite. Like, it's crazy. I just don't get it.
At his age, averaging what, like 28, 8,
8, and 9, and that's
But I'm trying to. I said this too. I was like, Luka's got the flash, but you have to also understand this is the way the NBA works. Is when a GOAT leaves, they look for the next person. They did it with Jordan. They said, "Oh, who's gonna be the next Jordan? Kobe or Allen Iverson?"
Yeah,
and then it was Kobe. Even though Allen Iverson was like controversial, which is why I love Allen Iverson. The league didn't want him as the face. He literally was a rebel, but that was his aroma or whatever. And then you look at LeBron leaving, who's going to be the next LeBron, or who's going to be the next Steph. And in my opinion, it is not Trae Young. Trae Young's going to be Trae Young is almost taking the Kobe approach to Jordan, but Luka has that it factor. That draw, whatever little sprinkle sauce that Curry wakes up, or whatever Aisha puts in his meals every morning. But I'll tell you, they're going to say, oh, LeBron's gone. We got Zion, who literally was a high school phenom. Dunk the ball over anybody who's in his way. Can spike the ball to the third row. The athleticism. And then Luka has that flash that Steph has, that little step back from the hash mark or the logo. Luka has that. So I think that we're going to be looking at those two the same way we looked at LeBron and Steph as who's the best player, who's more exciting. They're going to hold down the league. Yeah, that's how I'm going to look at it. And
from a perspective that I see, like Zion is only 20 years old, 21 years old.
Yeah, something like that.
Something like that.
I know I'm older than Zion, but like 3-4 months. That's ridiculous. I've never, this is the first time this year that a player that I'm older than, and I'm like, wow, this is crazy. Anyways, so like
wait till you're older than all the players, buddy.
Oh man, that's gonna go crazy. Anyways, but like I'm seeing Zion, and although he's flashy, he could drive in. He's a beast. He's still averaging 35, shooting 66% from the field. When I look at Luka, overall, he's the better player, in my opinion. Zion is the unstoppable player, yes. But who is the better player that can lead a team? I'm going Luka.
But let me just cut you off for a second and say, is who the better player is that as important as who can the league sell more?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
And that's the thing is they're going to look, right? They're going to look at not only that, they're going to look, there was a time where they cared, right? We talk social issues on my show with Coach, right? So I don't want to bring that to this show, but there was a time when they were trying to push Keith Van Horn, right, of the Nets because he was this really talented white player, right? And 80% of the NBA fans are white. Yeah. And so those days, thankfully, those days are hopefully gone, and we don't care about that. But they're going to look for who sells. So is it dunks that sell? You're going Zion. Yeah. Is it 3-pointers and passing? Well, then you're going Luka, right? Are we looking for that? And that's why, like I said, in my opinion, it would be smarter if instead of picking the one, which they've done, right? Yeah. And I think in error, I think it's actually hurt the league because they've always said, who's the next Jordan? Who's the next Kobe? Who's the next LeBron? I think it hurts them. I think they actually were better off when it was, look at these matchups, right? Look at the Bird and Magics. I think that's a good idea.
He brought up Magic and Larry, and literally, from a marketing standpoint, they were pushing Magic and Larry as soon as the NCAA championship game ended between Michigan and Indiana. Yeah. And then once they came into the league, it was think about the fact that both of those two won championships within like 4 years of getting into the league. Magic won in '79, got Rookie of the Year.
That's people don't even talk about that.
Finals
Bird
MVP.
got Rookie
People
of the
don't
Year.
talk about that.
Yeah, this man won Finals MVP as a rookie, and Bird got Rookie of the Year. That was already a clash. And then Bird wins, I think, 2 years after. I want to say, what was it, 81, I think? When Bird won, the problem was when Bird won, all the freaking media people were like, oh, does this trump the loss you took to Magic? And he was like, I'm not even thinking about Magic. And then he beats Magic, and he's like, yeah, this was pretty good. From a rivalry aspect, it's like, that sells their first.
I think the greatest rivalry of all time.
Yeah, Give me Zion
even if
versus
it's not there, I'd find a way to create it. I would look, if I was the NBA, I'm not saying there's a conspiracy, but if I was the NBA, I'm finding a way to make sure that Dallas and they put teams around them, right? So that these two guys, like I said, they need to create, if there's no animosity, fake it, make it like it's like the good thing about Bird and Magic was you never thought they disliked each other. Mm-hmm. Right? It was always like they were always classy, but there was like, I want to beat that guy. They say he's the best, I'm the best. He says I'm like
it's like KD and LeBron right now.
It was a healthy competitiveness, and I think that's what I mean. You don't need to make them enemies, right? But I think you want them to be like, hey, I want to build my team to beat your team, and I want to build my team to beat your team, and then
LeBron and Steph. LeBron and Steph.
Yeah.
After the 3-1, LeBron threw the Halloween party, and I remember I was like, man. If I'm a Warriors fan right now, you can't wait till they match up in January of 2017, and they matched up, and the Warriors beat them by like, I think they actually beat them by 31, but they destroyed the Cavs.
I don't even want to talk about that because I cried. But well, no, I'm just kidding. But look, this is a good question. Really sad question. I'm gonna ask this to Anthony because I feel like he knows about this. If not, we just put the question down. What do you know about the EuroLeague or the European basketball? And you know that the EuroLeague is considered the second best league in the world in basketball. And there are teams in the NBA in that level, or teams in EuroLeague. I'm assuming that are the I don't know.
Yeah. Well, when I was playing, it couldn't have been that good because they offered me a pro contract. So I'll say that hopefully it's gotten better since then. I never played. I never got to play. I got injured, but that's how good they were then.
Yeah.
Keep in mind that was a low. Like you guys weren't born.
Yeah.
I would say that yes. I would say kind of globally yes. It's considered the second best league. Is it the best? Do they have teams at an NBA level? I think they have teams like not championship NBA level, but they do a lot of exhibition games. And you've seen some of these EuroLeague teams come in and beat the NBA teams. Granted, it's in the preseason. In the preseason. But just look, to put it into perspective, who goes to Europe from the US? Guys that don't make it to the NBA. Where do, not all, I get it, not all, but where do the best European players go? They come to the NBA. Yeah. Right now, are there some that stay 100%? But I think the talent is still NBA. Are there teams in the EuroLeague that can compete in the NBA? 100%. There are.
Yeah.
But they also play a very different style of basketball.
Just put them against the Rockets.
So yeah, they'll beat the Rockets. So it's a tough question because it's, let's be honest, it's the guys who don't make the NBA who go to the EuroLeague from the US, and typically the best European players come to the NBA. So NBA is still number one. EuroLeague is second, but you can see in international play the gap between the reason the Dream Team was created in '92 was because the college players were getting beat by the rest of the world, and they're like, hey, they're professionals, we need to send our pros too. So the gap is closed, right? Look, you guys know I live in Canada. Just look at how many, don't bring up Anthony Davis. Look how many Canadian players, right, have gone from you never heard about them to now every team seems to have at least one Canadian player. Yeah. So they've really made the game more international. So yeah, the EuroLeague is a good, if you want a basketball fix, if you like kind of open, you mentioned the Warriors style of play where there's a lot of ball movement. If you like that kind of basketball, EuroLeague's actually a good league to watch, but it's like comparing the NFL to the XFL. It's fun, but it's not the same. It's not the same.
And I feel like the talent in the EuroLeague is gonna get better. I mean, for 10 years, it's gonna be better. I mean, we're gonna see a lot of European players coming to the NBA. But would the EuroLeague ever surpass the NBA? Never. That's not gonna happen.
The only way the EuroLeague surpasses it is the same reason why the NBA is in the league now. Is if they play all their players, if they pay them all more. Mm-hmm. Right? Right? If you get more money, then I guarantee you every American player, right? Like if you're getting paid $50 million here and you're getting 100 there, everyone's going to Europe.
That's like the WWE and WCW. Everybody's going to hot ship.
Yeah. All right, and then last topic of the day: who is your MVP this season? So let's start off with again Z. Let me know who you got for MVP. Then Anthony, I'll go.
For MVP this season, I think fan favorite it's Steph.
Yeah, yeah.
But from a standpoint of you got to look at standings and impact, I'm gonna go Joel because, quite frankly, I like Joker. I love Joker. He is a complete basketball player, and I'm not even talking about height. One of the best passing centers of all time, and I will say that proudly. But Joel, you have a guy who, I mean, Joel's been making a case for best defender in the league, best player in the league for about 3 or 4 years. And with not only Giannis's, I guess you could say decline, but voter fatigue.
Yeah.
And when you look at the facts that the West is obviously more competitive than the East. So in the East, you really have to, I mean, if you're the first seed in the East, you're taken quite seriously by the rest of the league. Yeah, without Joel Embiid, the Sixers are absolutely garbage. I don't care. And people are always like, oh, Ben Simmons is this great. I'm like, dude, if he's a great player, like if the Nuggets didn't have Joker and they had Jamal Murray, Jamal could go drop 50. And they might actually, either they would lose by a couple or they would get the win. But I mean, Ben Simmons had that one, I think it was a 40-point game or whatever. They still lost. I think Joel's impact is just detrimental, and the fact that he can do offense and defense, he can play both sides of the ball, especially in terms of interior. So I'm going to take Joel.
You didn't say anything wrong, right? I'm just going to disagree in the point that I think the MVP this season is the Joker. It's Jokic because. First of all, we got to look at who played the best all season. And I looked at injuries. Joel got injured, unfortunately. And that's going to be a big play on when it comes to MVP. You can say that Joel Embiid is more talented than Jokic, but when you look at what Jokic brings to the table, the Denver Nuggets system is Jokic. Everything gets run through him. That's crazy to say that we're like in today's NBA, we're running the offense with a center. That's crazy. Also, he leads the team in assists. He leads the team in rebounds. In scoring, I think he's second or first in his team. It's ridiculous that Jokic is even doing that. So we're talking about the most valuable, the most impactful. The seeding, remember the Western Conference is tougher than the East. And with all that, they're doing really good without Jamal Murray that got injured. Hope he get better. I'm going Jokic. I think he is the clear-cut winner of the MVP this season. That's my opinion, though. Anthony, what you got?
So it's interesting. Like we get into MVP debates, and I don't think two people have given me the same definition of what they mean by MVP.
Oh yeah, no one knows the
answer. Right. The most valuable player to their team is Steph Curry. Right.
Definitely.
When they have Steph Curry, they're a playoff team. When they don't have Steph Curry, they lose to the Raptors by 50.
55 points.
Yeah. Right. So he's the most valuable player to his team. Who's the most valuable player to the league? Well, that's another debate because it's still probably LeBron because he sells tickets. Who's the most valuable player, meaning who's the best player? Well, that's a different conversation. But the way the NBA looks at it is who's the best player putting up like great stats on the best team or one of the best teams, right? That's unfortunately how they vote. So for me, if I had a vote, I'm agreeing with you, like because I'm going Jokic and really for two reasons. One, because my man's averaging like 27, 11 and 9, right? Yeah. And then you lose Jamal Murray and you think Denver's done. And what do they do? Granted, it's a small sample, but what do they do with Jamal Murray out? They go 4-0. Yeah. He's now averaging in those 4 games, he's averaging 29.5 points. So points are up. 12.5 rebounds. His rebounds are up. And still averaging 8 assists without his best offensive player who he gives those passes to.
Hey, you got to give credit to Michael Porter Jr. too. He's been stepping up.
And so when a player like that's in the 1-2 conversation, steps up his game when their best player or best scorer goes out, right? For me, I give him the vote. Now, reality is Philadelphia, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, is the number 1 seed. They have a better record, and because it's close, Embiid's probably going to win it. But for me, I think Jokic, because scoring and we're talking offense, but scoring and rebounds, they're pretty even. What's the difference? Are you even talking about Embiid's assists? Nope. Right? When Jokic is getting 8-9 a game?
He averages, I think, 3.2 assists.
Yeah.
Okay. right? Like Jokic triples them. You know what I mean? And I think, for me, I think Philadelphia is a better team, right? I think they have better pieces. I think they have a better coach. So the fact that Jokic is doing it on a worse team, for me, gives him the nod. But I think if they were to vote today, I think Embiid's your winner from an NBA, from the people that actually can vote. And
let me make a case for Steph. Steph is not winning, unfortunately. I want Steph to win so bad. I really do. It's such a great, has a narrative. No Clay, injuries happening. People doubted him from the beginning of the season. With all that, he is balling out of his mind. He is on pace to making the playoff as the 8th seed. A great narrative, right? When we look about MVPs, again, Anthony K said it best. It's basically the best player on one of the best teams. That goes to Jokic or Joel Embiid this season. But, we got to look at Russell Westbrook as well. I mean, he didn't have the best team. He really didn't. But with all that, he averaged historic numbers with a triple-double. If Steph Curry, in my opinion, right, goes on, leads his team to an 8th, 7th seed, that is still possible. It's still possible. It requires a lot of winning, obviously. But it's still possible. Steph Curry could be your MVP this season. That is my opinion. Oh, I think Z did, but that's fine. I'll come back. That is my opinion. Steph Curry could definitely win the MVP. He could definitely win the MVP. But would it happen?
Are his numbers good enough to be in the MVP conversation? Yes.
Yeah.
But he will not even get a vote just because, let's say it ends the way it is now. His team's in 10th.
Yeah.
He doesn't even get. Unfortunately, look, there's a lot of players, right, that have ridiculous statistics. But if your team isn't in that kind of top, maybe even 3, 4 seed, right? If you're not, put it this way, if you're not hosting the first round of the playoffs, you're losing a lot of MVP votes.
No, that's true, and I agree.
Is that right? Probably
not.
But
I love Steph to death because of like Light said, nobody expected him to do the things that he's doing, and I was one of Anthony's. Yeah, to Anthony's point, it comes to a point where what does MVP mean to a lot of people? Because from a fan's perspective, I mean, for Steph Curry, he can walk into any arena in the league and get MVP chance by the end of the night. Yeah. Literally the only player in the league that can do that. Joel isn't doing it because, I mean, nobody, like, sometimes they don't like Joel. Joker isn't doing it because his numbers don't stick out to you when you watch him actually. Yeah. KD obviously isn't going to do it. And even LeBron may not do it until his final season in the league because LeBron's like John Cena. You love him or you hate him. But put Steph in the in any arena, he captivates every single fan because we've watched this man grow from the babyface assassin to the facial hair, but still slightly babyface assassin. Like he's still evolved, and we all know that. Like White said, we know his situation, so it hurts us even more. But if tomorrow we find out some Klay Thompson news that could go either way, it would imagine the Warriors get Klay Thompson back tomorrow. They are now the 8th or 10th seed. They go. I give them the 8th seed, right? Who's the first seed in the West right now? It's the Jazz.
The Jazz, yeah.
Jazz, right?
The Warriors. The Warriors have a chance.
The Warriors knock the Jazz out. The Warriors get to the conference finals and face off against LeBron, and Klay comes back, right? LeBron's newly found partner in crime, Anthony Davis. And we get a Warrior versus Laker Western Conference Finals matchup. The entire world would go crazy because of the fact that LeBron and Steph.
And if that happens, and I know playoffs doesn't count, obviously this is from a fan perspective. If that happens, if Steph and Klay Thompson, right here on my left side apparently, wins and goes to the conference finals, when all the situations the Golden State Warriors were dealing, Steph Curry is your MVP. Obviously, that is coming from a fan standpoint. But when obviously Jokic is going to win it or Joel Embiid, but I think the NBA should start they should really have a guideline on what the MVP is for them. Like, we need to know. We really need to know.
They do.
Like they do. Like what's the pure definition then? Like I need to know.
They do. Just look at historically everyone that's ever won. It's one of the best players on one of the best teams. That's it, right? That's why it's funny. Like the Jazz, you never hear about Mitchell or Gobert, is because neither one of them is like a superstar. So that's why they're kind of out of the equation. Because people always say, "Oh, you said the best team. Why isn't the Jazz?"
Donovan Mitchell.
You have to. You have to. Yeah, it has to be a superstar on one of the top kind of 5 or 6 teams.
And then people wanted to go back to 2011 and say that LeBron should have won it over Derrick Rose. I'm like, dude, no. I love LeBron. Derrick Rose is obviously my favorite player, but there's no bias here. Rose had the best record in the NBA. Yeah. That's if you have the best record in the entire league, somebody's going to be in the MVP conversation.
Yeah.
But at the same token, you look at and the people are like, oh, well, Ron averaged better stats. I'm like, dude, look at the context surrounding it. Braun played for the Miami Heat, which was the best team in the NBA. No doubt about that. But that team still didn't even get the best record. Rose's second and third options, which were at that time, Boozer and Noah. You can make a case for Luol Deng, but Boozer and Noah were pretty good. They were out for a significant amount of time. I think Noah only played like 50-some games, and Boozer only played – I think Noah played 47, Boozer played like 53. So in that span, Rose still got his team to like the Heat. I don't remember really any major injuries, like any of the big three being taken out for a significant amount of time in 2011. But you got to give it to Rose. It's no doubt about it. People and they're like, LeBron got robbed. I'm like, dude, no, he didn't. LeBron was the best player in the league. He had the best team. But the record didn't show for it. Whose fault is that? Is it? I mean, you have the big three. There's no reason you shouldn't have had the best record. But I mean, you can't ignore a 22-year-old dude leading his team to 60+ wins. At the age of
young.
22.
He's young. That's uncalled for. I'm a LeBron fan, right? And I don't even think that LeBron deserved that MVP. I feel like LeBron was the best player on the league, but I don't think he deserved the MVP. But I feel like that wraps everything of what we had to talk about. Z left again. He'll come back in a bit. But this is going to be posted on TikTok, some of these clips. And I just want to say thank you to Anthony K for setting all of this up. Let me just put Z back in the call. We're just saying bye right now. I want to say thank you to Anthony K for setting all of this up. I was thinking about having a 45-minute stream. We were talking for an hour and 45 minutes. So well, it's our first episode. We were excited, but thank you, Anthony K, for being here. Appreciate you. Tell the people where to follow you on.
Oh man, okay. Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. It's all sports_fluent. The podcast, Sports Fluent. The coach and AK, which is myself and former NFL coach, newly offensive coordinator of the Tennessee State University Tigers. Hugh Jackson is my co-host. Every single week we talk football, basketball, and social issues.
That's dope. Yeah. So everybody go follow Anthony K. Thank you for having us. This was Lighthouse Sports. And this is ZZ Honcho, the CEO of GOATS. And one more thing, Boom, the sport god. You better accept and step up. Thank you for watching.